All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television show in the history of the United States of America. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I am going to be reviewing Shadowheart, book number 4 in Tad Williams' massively awesome epic fantasy series Shadowmarch. And so let's just get started by talking about the covers first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. So anyway, I've got the hardcover here. I've got the mass market paperback. I also own all 4 books on audible.com. All 4 books in the series here, and here they are. So let's talk about the cover of this one first. Todd Lockwood is the artist. I like the covers. Daw Books always does a really nice job of the covers, the back, everything. It's a wraparound. It looks good. If you put it up here next to the other books, they all look pretty dope together. We can see. I'll show you those are the 4 hardcover versions. The design of this one looks a little different than the design of those, but that's okay. This is a Michael Whelan painting, and then Todd Lockwood did the others. Down here, the mass market paperbacks are all a little bit more similar, but most importantly, when you turn the books sideways, they all look good on the shelf like that together. Looks like you've got a good series here aesthetically. So we give Daw Books credit where credit is due. They always do a great job with their cover designs and all that stuff. Let's put the thing back there. Okay, we're ready to go. So let's talk about this. Oh, before we get any further, I always have to mention this. Tad Williams is someone who I consider a friend, and he has signed pretty much all of my books here. Let's see if we can find the signature of this one. There we go. He's pretty much signed all of my books for me. And he's the author of the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series and the Other Land series. You guys know who he is. Not only that, but he was good enough. He's one of my literary heroes as I was growing up. And then I got to know him a little bit because we go and run in the same circles of authors and stuff. And he did a blurb for me. He blurbed my series. He read and he liked my stuff enough that he gave me a little blurb. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the Lonesome Crown, and then here on the Blackest Heart also. Anyway, so type is so tiny, I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, let's get enough talking about me. Let's talk about Tad. Shadowheart, book number 4 in the Shadowmarch series. So, if you want to see my review of book number 1, book number 2, oh, I don't know how that happened. That goes up there. If you want to see my review of these first 3 books, go ahead and watch those first. They're easy to find. Just type in my last name, Durfee, and the title of the books. Reviews will come up on your computer. Don't want to give any spoilers for those 3 books, and so we'll talk briefly about this book and how much I love the series. So basically, 1,000 years ago, the gods were banished into they were banished deep underneath Southmarch Castle, into an eternal sleep, and now they're starting to awaken. And we talked a little bit about that in the review of this book, how not only is there Southmarch Castle, not only is it being attacked from the magical Quar from the east. The magical Quar is kind of like this elf-like ethereal race of sort of bad guys, and they are coming out of the mists. They're coming out of the Shadowmarch, the mists from the north. They're coming out of the north onto Southmarch Castle, right? And then from the south, we've got the Autarch of Zyx coming, and he's bringing his armies from the south onto Southmarch Castle. And then in this book here, book 3, we find out that something is rising from underneath the castle. Well, now we know that it's these banished gods that have been in this eternal sleep, and they're coming up. So Southmarch Castle is besieged from the left and the right and the south and the north, and now from underneath. And we've got the twins. Now, these gods, these eternal sleeping gods, they're coming up. They are seeking vengeance, right? I mean, it ain't like they're not just coming out of the ground, to throw a birthday party for someone. They are coming up to some people up, is what they're coming up for. And so anyway, we have got all of these things. Now, the king of Southmarch Castle, throughout these first 3 books, he's kind of been banished into foreign lands. He's making his way back. The twins, his twin children, Beric and Bryony Eden, they are also making their way back with the cast of characters that we've followed throughout. They are making their way back. Now, Bryony is being chased by the my favorite character, Diocanis Vo, the assassin. Now, Diocanis Vo, he gets little screen time, but when he's on screen, he steals the scene. He's kind of like the Boba Fett of this story. Now, she's also, Bryony is also bringing along kind of this army with her. Now, her brother Beric, he is also returning to the castle. He was banished up into the Shadowmarch misty realm with the Quar and the Mount. Now he's coming back to the castle, Southmarch, sort of with some Quar magic. The Artarch of Zix, he's also, like I said, he's got his army. Then he wants to take the castle. And it's all going to come to a head. Everything is going to come to a head at Southmarch Castle on Midsummer Night, which is sort of like the Armageddon of the whole thing. And it's going to be just a massive battle between the living and the dead. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about the finale, the final book, the very finale of the series. I don't want to get into it more than that. All I can say is Tad Williams, his writing is still top-notch in this series. It's still every bit as gorgeous of a writing style as we found in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, which we've got over here, the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn books, To Green Angel Tower, Stone of Farewell, Dragonbone Chair, all of them. His Otherland books, the writing is still just beautiful, gorgeous. The prose is just effortlessly magnificent. Tad Williams is one of my favorite writers of all time, and his writing stands out every bit as much in the Southmarch series of 4 books as it does in all of his other things. Now, the Southmarch series, it's probably one of his, I would say the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series is just a mega hit. His Otherland series was a pretty big hit. The Southmarch series, a little lesser known, but every bit as good as the others. I give this a 10 out of 10. I've given every single book in the series a 10 out of 10. They're all super fucking dope, and I recommend people that love fantasy should be reading this series more. You know, once you finish Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, do Southmarch. You're going to be every bit as pleased. So that's my review.